There's something broken near you right now, and you already know what it is. Not because someone pointed it out, not because it became urgent. You just noticed, the way you always do. The slight drag of a drawer, the flicker, the sound that shouldn't be there. And while everyone else walked past it without a second thought, something in you filed it away, quietly, like a background process that never really shuts off. That's not a quirk. That's a particular kind of mind, and most people will never fully understand what it's like to live inside it. People who are drawn to fixing things aren't simply practical. What's actually happening runs much deeper than that. Their brain registers a gap between what is and what should be, and that gap produces a low-frequency itch that most people genuinely don't feel. It doesn't announce itself, it doesn't cause panic. It just hums quietly until something is done about it. Your partner walked past the same leaking faucet for 4 months. You had it mentally disassembled, diagnosed, and solved before the coffee finished brewing. And here's what's strange. You weren't bothered by it. You were almost interested. That difference is everything. Psychologists use the term systemizing to describe the cognitive drive to find the hidden rules inside things, how they work, why they fail, what connects cause to effect. And the people who score high on this trait aren't just drawn to engines or electronics. They're drawn to any system, a team that keeps breaking down at the same moment, a recipe that always goes wrong on the third step, a relationship pattern that repeats in a way nobody else seems to notice. The fixer's brain is involuntarily mapping the world all the time. But here's what almost no one talks about, and this is the part that makes fixers genuinely different from everyone else. The broken thing isn't actually the destination. That moment before it's fixed, when you're turning it over, forming theories, eliminating possibilities, that's where something remarkable is happening inside you. Most people experience uncertainty about a broken object as mildly stressful. You experience it as interesting. Those are not the same relationship with the unknown, and they produce entirely different lives. There's a documented cognitive trait called need for cognition, the tendency to actively seek out and enjoy difficult thinking. People who score high on it report more satisfaction from working something out than from simply being handed the answer. The diagnostic phase, the unsolved part, carries its own quiet reward. The fix is almost secondary, almost the closing of something that was already satisfying. Sit with that for a second, because it says something profound about how you're wired. And then there's this. Research on what's known as the IKEA effect found something that the researchers themselves almost undersold. People who build or repair something with their own hands consistently value it more than an identical object they didn't touch, not because of sentiment, because of participation. The hand that fixed it can't fully separate itself from the object afterward. There's a kind of authorship that happens, even with something as impersonal as a shelf or a carburetor. That old car in the garage that everyone says isn't worth the money you'd put into it, they're not wrong about the math, but they're missing the point entirely. You've been inside that machine. You know how it works. That's not irrational. That's genuinely difficult to walk away from. Now here's where it gets darker. Systems are honest in a way people often aren't. A mechanical problem will tell you exactly what's wrong if you look carefully enough. It has rules. It responds to logic. You can test a hypothesis, and the world gives you real feedback. Something either works or it doesn't. There's no ambiguity, no hidden agenda, no manipulation. People are considerably messier, and fixers, without always realizing it, bring the exact same methodology to relationships that they bring to broken objects. They look for the root cause. They try to isolate the variable. They believe, somewhere deep down, that if they just understand it well enough, they can make it better. It mostly works until it meets something that isn't a system. Because some things don't have a root cause you can find and address. Some things aren't broken. They're just painful. And the fixer, standing in front of that, tools in hand, mind already working, has to confront one of the hardest truths there is.
Not everything can be fixed by understanding it better.
That's the shadow side of this gift, and it's rarely spoken about. But step back further, and what this entire way of moving through the world requires is something quietly extraordinary. The fixer's premise is that there is a reason things are the way they are, that the reason can be found, and that once you find it, something can be made better than it currently is. That's not a small belief. A lot of people have quietly stopped believing that, in ways they don't even recognize in themselves anymore. You probably don't call yourself an optimist. The whole orientation feels too practical, too grounded for that label to fit. But what is it really? To look at something broken and think, I can work with this, if not a specific, stubborn, evidence-based faith that things can function better than they do right now. That's not obsession. That's not just a personality trait. That might be one of the most honest things about you. So the next time you catch yourself instinctively moving towards something that isn't working, mentally tracing a problem no one else has even registered yet, notice that pull. Don't explain it away. Don't apologize for it. That instinct, the one that sees the gap and refuses to accept it as permanent, that isn't incidental to who you are. It might be the truest part of you.